This is John Murphy at Murtech.com with your daily news update. Okay, here we are on August the 7th in the year of our Lord 2026. I've got a lot of good information for you. I hope Rumble is working correctly. I had some issues with it earlier today. Let me just jump over here. And yeah, it was with the Megyn Kelly and a couple others after that. But let me jump into here. My content. Now this one here is this one is I got private because I tried to play this. Here, let me play it for you here. See the audio on it sucks. And I like to have a little bit better quality.
Doing both.
No, Rumble has done some modifications or upgrades to the system because I've seen some slight subtle changes, and it seems like when they do that, I don't know, they run into problems, and I'm not sure what that deal is there, or whether they were being hacked. I just don't know, but I know that it wasn't only me, because I did a raid on LFA TV this morning, and they were saying that their Rumble Studio is not working, and they had to do their live stream a different way. But at any rate, I don't. Okay, no, they run into problems. Okay, seems to be working there. We'll wait till I actually start playing a video. Hi, Debbie BS. Hi, Glow. How you doing? Good job. Thank you. I'll be back with you here in just a moment, ladies. But at any rate, let's go ahead and slide down here and click the Show More button. We have information from Dan Bongino, ACLJ Sekulow, Matt Morse TV, and Wendy Bell Radio. But before we get into that, let me give the shout outs here to Jules Patriot, just started following my channel. Revival 8 just started following my channel. Maui Donna Abbey just started following my channel. Sorry, folks. Big Dog 17 just started following my channel. Beware the Bugs, okay, just started following my channel. JFK 64, that was good, just started following my channel. Schnuffy 99 just started following my channel. Ads just started following my channel. And Anthenam 17 just started following my channel. So thank you very much, folks, for following my channel. I greatly appreciate that. I hope you're tuned in, and I hope you enjoy the content. Okay, Debbie BS reposted my episode 2001. Kim's Coffee Talk reposted my extra 784B. Blue Girl Blue commented on my daily news wrap-up. Steffing 101, Spartan Sardaukar commented on my daily news wrap-up from the 7th. Viper Senior, Debbie BS, Glow, and Cotton Ball 31 commented on my episode 2001. And Debbie BS, she must have been doing some catching up today, commented on my extra 783C, 784A, 784B, and 784C. So thank you very much, folks, for reposting my videos, and thank you for your comments. I enjoy reading your feedback, and I definitely appreciate your support. So let me go ahead and give you guys a thumbs up on that one. Okay, let's jump into this. Dan Bongino, Revenge, episode 2569. Let's see what that's all about.
Let's go. By the way, talking about in the beginning how I love the P1s when they bring up like MLW, bringing up references like that some of the new listeners weren't really savvy to yet, which is cool. We're all going to be family in the end, I promise. Another one is tomorrow is going to be August 8th. August 8th is a day of extreme significance with the Dan Bongino Inc. company, with Haley and Vince and me and everyone out there. It is, of course, the day we recognize in honor of the great Frank Fagese.
No one's thinking about this.
Nobody's thinking about it. The great, and by great, we mean the biggest tool in the history of sentient beings. Frank Fagese, who ran the FBI into the ground. We had to clean up the leadership of him and his mess. 8/8, of course, is Frank Fugazi Day. There it is. Fugazis in the chat. Fugazis everywhere. We all love Frank Fugazi, love meaning we mock him endlessly. So tomorrow's the weekend. There is no show on the weekend. But in honor of Frank Fugazi's ridiculous comment that Donald Trump wanted to celebrate Hitler on August 8th by lowering a flag to half-mast when he meant half-staff because he's too stupid to know the difference. A mast is on a ship. That friggin' tear it up! Keep it up. Come on. Keep it up in the chat. Fugazi, this is for you. I saw what you did at the FBI, you and your cronies, before you ran the place into the ground. The mess you left us to clean up was a disaster. The fact that people allow you on TV when you're a moron, you don't even know what a ship's mast is versus a staff on a flagstaff, you are an idiot. Fugazi, wow, we got a floating Fugazi head across the street. I want to really thank Andrea for taking custody of the Fugazi head. We had some logistics issues. We will transfer that back to the show at some point in coordination with the great Anita McGroin. We love her. She is the queen of the chat. So thank you. Fugazi Day. It's crazy. Like, I didn't even know you guys. I totally forgot you had a Fugazi emoji for the chat. I had totally forgotten that until you reminded. I showed you. This family thing works two ways. You have to tell me. I'm not like the lieutenant general in this space. I'm just one of you. I had to be reminded. You know what? In honor of Fugazi Day tomorrow, some of you who may be new to the show, for P1s, you've seen this, you can tune out now. I'd rather you not. But for those of you who missed this was this moron who was a senior supervisor in the FBI. I mean, a really super high-level guy. So dumb. He went on, what is this, MSNOW years ago, to suggest that Donald Trump lowered the flag at the White House to celebrate it. Celebrate Hitler. What a D-bag. Check this out.
Understand the adversary and the threat we're dealing with. And if we don't understand how they think, we'll never understand how to counter them. So it's little things and language and messaging that matters. The president said that we will fly our flags at half-mast until August 8th.
There's a mast on the White House.
8. Now, I'm not going to imply that he did this deliberately, but I am using it as an example of the ignorance of the adversary that's being demonstrated by the White House. The numbers 8/8 are very significant in neo-Nazi and white supremacy movement. Why? Because the letter H is the 8th letter of the alphabet. And to them, the numbers 8/8 together stand for Heil Hitler. So we're going to be raising the flag back up at dusk on 8/8. No one's thinking about this.
No one's thinking about it. No one's thinking about it because we're not tool bags like you. You bag of tools. This guy's a craftsman. Nobody's thinking. Of course nobody's thinking because we're not crazy. Folks, now you see the mess we were left with. Can you imagine having to crush violent crime, foreign terror organizations, drug operations, have to go out there and clean up VCAT cases, have to engage in, what was an unprecedented transparency, all the stuff that came out, having to, fire and terminate people, have to go through all this while you had leaders like this in charge. Can you imagine the mess they left you with? Holy Moses. So we'll get to Frank Fugazi head back soon. Folks, here's a danger ahead, though. I hate the switch in tone, but I mean, on a very serious note, there is a very serious danger ahead. And with regards to that famous timeless quote by Aeneas that, your opponent in this case isn't vanquished until you believe it to be so. Don't believe you're vanquished. You're not vanquished. You are living in the golden era of American politics. We've never had better control of our border. We've never had a safer country. You're about to witness an explosion through AI of medical technology. Yes, there's going to be some impact on the job market. There's no disputing that. You're going to witness an explosion in compute and construction jobs. You're going to see electricians. You're already seeing it now, making $200,000, $300,000 a year. You are going to be living through the golden age of American politics right now. But doomers and grifters want to demoralize you. And they demoralize you by asking you to believe in religious references rather than facts. That's hard to do. Socialists speak in ideas while conservatives speak in results. That's hard, man. I get it. That's really hard. It's hard to be on the other side of that because human beings we're not animals in the sense that we are sentient beings. We want to be inspired. We want the Newt Rockney speech. You know, we want the Herb Brooks speech in the Miracle on Ice locker room. We want to believe. So when socialists get out there and say everybody can have everything all the time and it's at no expense to anyone, we're just going to tax the evil rich people. I get it, why human beings have this magnetic impulse to want to believe in that. And some of them just don't want to go and do the homework and go, that sounds great, but doesn't work. So what we're fighting against is what they call in the entertainment business the suspension of disbelief. P1s know this. Justin's like, I've heard that before. I haven't brought it up in a while. But when you go into a movie or a play on Broadway or wherever, it doesn't matter. We have down here, we have that, what's it, Lyric or something down here? We have like a little stage down here. When you go into a movie like Spider-Man, I brought my daughter to see it. She loved it. Folks in the chat, everyone in the chat recognizes that what's happening on the screen is fake, right? I mean, I know there are liberals out here who are like, what? That's not real? There's no hombre araña? What is it? That's there are no Spider-Man. Outside of liberals, everybody realizes it's fake. So if we all know it's fake, why do we get emotional? Why, when I watched Braveheart, which is every guy's like one of their favorite movies, if not their favorite movie, at the freedom. Why when Mel Gibson says freedom and they're like pulling his intestines out? Why when they're doing that? Why did every guy in the movie theater go, I'm here, I'm not crying, he's crying? Why did that happen? It's fake. Mel Gibson's not getting his intestines cut out. Why do we do that? Because we voluntarily suspend our disbelief. We disbelieve. We don't believe it. We disbelieve it. We know it's not real, but we suspend it. We suspend disbelief. That's the problem right now with the modern socialists and liberals and a lot of, not all, but a lot of younger people in the movement who are being propagandized and misled by this. They quietly know in the background they're watching a movie. Mamdani's he's an actor in a movie. You guys love Democrats, where he changes his voice. AOC changes her voice. Remember AOC last month? All of a sudden she had a Southern accent like she went to University of Valley. You know this. But they suspend their disbelief because they want to believe and it requires the work. They don't. They want to be inspired. This is the use of religious and faith-based language planted on top of a secular ideology, communism, and using it to get them to suspend their disbelief and play along with the movie, even though they know the movie's fake. Folks, there's no better way to explain it than that for me. I'm sure I'm telling you, I like real-world meat-on-the-bone examples. If you've ever gone to a movie knowing it's fake and cried in a movie, you have suspended. That's how we come up with a story like this. This is a stunning story out of the United Kingdom, Cambridge University, who hired the youngest PhD, ladies and gentlemen. You know, can you put up the tweet first about all the claims? The guy's story was a movie. Well, I may say that they may make a movie out of this in the future, but right now, figuratively speaking, this story is like a movie. This guy's a good-looking guy. He's got like the hair going and everything. Very eloquent. Put this book out, and this guy Paul Embry on Twitter says, "Hey, this is really wild. This guy, he experienced locked-in syndrome for several months after being hit by a car. Doctors advised his family to have the life support machine turned off, but he awakened miraculously. Oh my, wow." Justin's like, that's, he says he was struck down by testicular cancer, though it changes in the book to brain cancer. Brain, testicles, those are different, correct? Brain.
Okay. I'm going to pause this here, and I was checking on the audio, and it's all, I don't know. I think I might have to refresh Rumble. Okay, so let me try to refresh Rumble and see if I can get okay, let me check this out here. All right, now let me go ahead and move on and click on the Rumble link. I don't understand what's going on here with Rumble. Why the audio is all screwed up, but I'm not the only podcaster that had an issue with Rumble. As you can see here, this video does come from Dan Bongino. It's the video I shared with you. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay, let me jump back here. Doesn't sound like the audio is much better on this. Okay, I'm sorry, folks, for the audio breaking up. I've refreshed Rumble. I'm not sure what the ACLJ Sekulow exposed the FBI secret plan. Exposed FBI secret plan to ruin Trump's presidency, declassified. But as I said, I tried to refresh Rumble, and maybe a little better, but not perfect. Let's go ahead and see what. Okay, let me share the screen here with ACLJ Sekulow.
Declassified documents showed the FBI specifically was probing President Trump on whether he was an active Russian agent or was being controlled by Russia. And Will, when did they decide to do this?
After President Trump was inaugurated and after he fired James Comey. This 16th, 2027. So we're over 9 years ago, and we're just now finding this from the White House. It says, at the direction of the Assistant Director of the FBI's Counterintelligence Division on an articulable, factual basis that reasonably indicates that President Donald J. Trump may be or has been, unwittingly or wittingly, involved in activities for or on the behalf of federal criminal law or threats to the national security of the United States. It goes on to say, the goal of the investigation is to determine if President Trump is or was directed by, with the Russian Federation in a manner constituting a threat to the national security of the United States. They are saying, we, the FBI, are investigating whether President Trump, the sitting president at this time, mind you, is or was controlled by Russia. This is at the time period after he fired Comey. Obstruction, because they were looking into Russian collusion. They were looking into the campaign. But it was supposed to be about an obstruction of justice charge if they got to it. This is saying, no. Not just that, but also, was he an agent controlling,
Actually pursuing this, and this wasn't just political talking points.
And this was a new operation name. We always get, how many names do they have? This one is Oxford, comma, spelled Oxferd, PRD. I wonder, I mean, if they thought the University of Oxford may get litigious.
For comma. And that's because one of the quote sources during the Mueller probe was a professor at Oxford that was saying there was Russian involvement. All of that ended up being not true. So when Comey denied that there was an ongoing investigation of the president, which was also not true, this one came, but was related to the termination of James Comey as the FBI director, which, by the way, the president has the full authority to do because the FBI director works for the president. So this was another attempt to target the president of the United States, labeling him basically an enemy of the United States and an asset of the Russian government. And they kept it offline, very few agents, hoping nobody would find it. And of course, fortunately, it was declassified, and now we know what we've got. These agencies are totally out of control, and that's why at the ACLJ, we have a government accountability project.
Tulsi Gabbard declassified a lot while she was the director of national intelligence. She called it a treasonous coup that was going on, and that was mainly related to the election intelligence community assessment. You see this, and you see that the FBI was trying to build a case that the sitting president, what did it take? Almost over 9 years, but we're approaching 10 years for them to uncover this. We know there's been a lot of reform at the FBI and the DOJ, and that's needed. But I think documents like this prove that that work has to continue and be ongoing of reforming these agencies.
This is very disheartening in the sense that there were FBI agents doing this, knowing that it was a sitting president, duly elected by the citizens of the United States. And think about that for a moment. And that's why we fight back so aggressively and why we have a government accountability project, like I said, even with an administration that might be considered friendly, because there are deep state activists that don't stop.
If you even take out the names here, because they're so loaded because of the history, it being President Trump and James Comey, the facts of that story, no one would believe you if you told someone, here's what happened in the United States with any other names. That's why, once again, it is so shocking to read this, that this is the anchor boss.
The danger here is, again, it was Oxford, comma, because they were utilizing an Oxford professor to get information that, supposedly was about the president. None of, by the way, they handled it for the president. So this is showing the depth that these agencies were going to undermine a duly elected president of the United States.
I want to clarify the absurdity of this FBI document as well, because we know that the intelligence community all of a sudden made this, and the document of the dossier was created by the Clinton time to litigate. This is May of 2017 when this is written, this new investigation. So he's already president for 5 months at this point when this investigation starts.
They're still looking for reasons.
They're still looking for reasons. And what was their reason for this one? He fired shoes. He messed with the election with the Hillary Clinton email probe back and forth, on and off again. He sent spies into the White House and bragged about it later that, yeah, I sent them because they were disorganized. He played God within the government is what James Comey did. He thought he was above the law. He thought he was the law. And so when he was fired, now they're thinking, the president, that's the absurdity of this.
Is there anything that can be done? What happens here? Of course, exposing the truth is a big part of this, but then what does President Trump or his team or the American people, what do?
You start with a Freedom of Information Act request or lawsuit before would have been, they would have said ongoing criminal investigation. or ongoing national security investigation. Well, now they can't say that it's been declassified. So we ask for a series of documents. They'll say no, and off to court we go, and we get it, and then you turn it over to the Department of Justice for prosecution.
Each and every day with our government accountability project is that once something gets declassified, it almost opens up the pathway for groups like ours to dig deeper. And that's exactly what we can do here now. We have these memos uncovered. Now, there's even things that are put down on paper that were probably placed in a burn bag, but never actually got destroyed, that we can start to target through the Freedom of Information Act practice here at the ACLJ. And I think that's exactly, as you're saying, what our
prize, and that's how we proceed. It takes time. We will get justice. We got to fight back. And that's why we encourage people to join the ACLJ as an ACLJ champion or support the work each and every month at the ACLJ or when you can, because it makes a huge difference as we fight back on all these issues.
All right, there you have it, folks. And again, I apologize about the scrambling and breaking up of the audio. It comes through on my headset perfectly, okay? But I know when I've checked, like, on my TV as it's coming through, it's breaking up. I apologize. That's the problem with Rumble. So let me go ahead and click on the Rumble link here and show that this video does come from American Center for Law and Justice. There's the video I shared with you. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay, let's jump back here and see what else we have from Morse TV. Hegseth just went nuclear. Okay, let's check that out and see what he's talking about.
Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you that for years now, decades now, numerous senior ranking officials inside of the United States military have been secretly working with the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, to undermine the United States of America? You would say, that's crazy. The United States military working on behalf of the Chinese Communist Party? That would be treason, Mr. Morse. Well, folks, here's the problem. That is exactly what has been happening for a very long time now. In fact, we have actually just gotten the confirmation from not only an independent journalist, but also from our current Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth himself. Yes, it is confirmed. And yes, this is treason. Let's go ahead and break it all down. Do me a favor and make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. Take a look at this. Natalie Winters, independent journalist, reports this morning revealed top American generals formed a secret back channel with a CCP military intelligence front that instructed them to advocate positions on behalf and that are favorable for China. Some even ended up on China's payroll. Here's a photo. The Chinese and U.S. retired generals enjoy a frank and open conversation in a relaxed setting. We have a full report here. The American military participants included. We're not going to read the names. How about I give you the positions? Former Joint Chiefs Chairman, former Joint Chiefs Vice Chairman, former CENTCOM Commander, former Army Chief, another former Army Chief, a former Navy Chief. You've got photos of all of this. Former Air Force Chief, former Air Force Chief, former Army Chief, former Pacific Commander Chief, another former Pacific Commander Chief, former Army Chief. All of this is out in the open, completely documented. They're not even hiding this. Also involved former U.S. Forces Korea Commander, former Northcom Commander, former Southcom Commander, former Army Corps of Engineers Chief, former First Corps Commander. Oh my gosh, there's so many. The back channel began in China in 2008 under the name the Sanya Initiative, was the secret group. It was funded by the CUSEF and conducted with CAIFC, a group congressional investigators identified as a front for the PLA, the People's Liberation Army in China, department responsible for political warfare coming out of the CCP. U.S. investigators said CAIFC carried out intelligence collection and propaganda and perception management campaigns. China was paying journalists for favorable coverage. That was breaking news a week and a half ago. Actually, the very same independent journalist, Natalie Winters, reported that China had been paying left-wing journalists particularly for favorable coverage, flying them out to China, giving them lavish vacations, hotels, suites, banquets, whatever. Come to China, it's all on us. We'll pay for everything. But when you go back to the United States, you publish a couple positive stories about how great China is, about how China is the most beautiful country ever, about how China treats everybody nicely. And that's been this quid pro quo for a very long time between the CCP and the media, left-wing media especially. But now it's with former senior ranking individuals from the U.S. military. They were involved in this as well. A guy named Bill Owens became the operation's leading American figure. 1 year later, the former Joint Chiefs Vice Chairman was consulting for Huawei, Chinese company, and pushing CCP propaganda in American media. And this is the former Joint Chiefs Vice Chairman. Owens publicly advanced positions favorable to Beijing. He defended Huawei, Chinese company, demanded America treat China as a friend. And he pushed back on U.S. arms sales to Taiwan. Why are we selling weapons to Taiwan? We should be nice to China instead. He said, and I quote, "I object to the way Huawei was treated," he said. "It's unfair." The secret back channel did not remain confined to retired generals. Within a year, its delegates were sitting face to face with Secretary of State at the time, whom? Hillary Clinton. Well. Here once again, you have the Obama administration buddying up, cozying up to communists. We know the Obama administration, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. We know that they loved Cuba. We know that they loved Iran. We know that they loved China. Well. The meetings were not confined to ceremonial diplomacy. The delegations discussed nuclear proliferation, terrorism, and military exchanges. By 2012, the operation had reached the U.S. Naval Academy and included numerous sitting members of Congress. CUSEF said Sanya, this is that secret media group pushing Chinese propaganda, Sanya was designed to build stronger personal relationships between the participants. By 2013, it was openly calling the operation an established military-to-military exchange. Folks, they were buying off politicians. The Chinese, they were buying off members of the left-wing media. They were buying off and bribing senior-ranking individuals in the U.S. military. These closed-door meetings continued through 2019. Their own records say the Americans and Chinese discussed high-risk issues involving Taiwan and the South China Sea, along with cybersecurity, missile defense, and military strategy. Congress was worried about the operation's real objective to advocate these positions. A witness, Americans appeared with a stark similarity to the arguments Beijing wanted promoted. So, folks, the reason why you never heard about any of this, the Chinese infiltration of Congress or the U.S. military, well, who would be reporting on it? The media. Well, guess who was bought off by the Chinese? The media. They were in on it. And now it's 2026. We have an independent media. We've got independent journalists and broadcasters. That's what we're doing here. And now we're finally exposing all of this. But you and I, nobody was supposed to know about this. There was a CCP funded cover-up. We were not supposed to hear about this. She says the operation never actually ended. CUSCF's 2023 and 2024 reports show the same closed-door channel continuing under a new label, the U.S.-China military-to-military dialogue. The name changed, but the influence network survived. Natalie Winter says, I uncovered the names, the meetings, and the Americans who later worked on behalf of Chinese interests. And she goes into extreme detail. This is exactly my response right there. I'm not going to read that out loud. Now, once again, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, okay, we have this independent journalist reporting all of this. Is it true? Can we believe it? Well, I want to show you something very important. Maybe we wouldn't even be talking about any of this today if not for this. Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth is his name. He actually reposted this entire story. Pete Hegseth, he responded, boosting it, promoting this story. He says this, and people wonder why it's important to A, ensure civilian control of the military, and B, depoliticize the general officer corps. So, folks, everybody knows about the deep state in the NSA, the CIA, the FBI, who knows, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, the intelligence apparatus. Is it possible? I'm asking a question for those of you that have served in the military, perhaps for a long time. Is it possible that we have a military deep state? I'm genuinely asking that might not be operating in the best interests of the United States of America, perhaps even buddying up and cozying up with foreign hostile nations like, I don't know, the Chinese Communist Party? Is that possible? I'm asking a question, yes or no, because to me, as a civilian on the outside, it seems like potentially yes. It seems like likely yes. And it seems like Pete Hegseth, our Secretary of War, knows about it and is helping expose it right here this morning. Wow. We see this response. As a reminder, treason is the only crime specifically defined in the U.S. Constitution by our great, very intelligent founding fathers. Treason is the only crime specifically defined in the U.S. Constitution. Okay, well, for anybody that hasn't dusted off their Constitution recently, what exactly does the Constitution say about treason? That's a powerful word, treason. Well, the Constitution says this specifically, and I quote, treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them, the United States, or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. And so, folks, at this point, I'm going to ask all of you a question. Does it seem to you like aid and comfort has been given to our enemy, in this case, the Chinese Communist Party? Absolutely. And it's not just members of the left-wing media. It's not just perhaps members of the United States military. It's even members in Congress. It's our elected representatives. Hillary Clinton, various other members of the Obama and Biden administrations have been buddying up and cozying up with the CCP. Now, do you think that falls under the constitutionally defined word treason? I would say so, folks. We need to see some accountability. Now that it's been exposed, and it has been, accountability, that is what it's going to take if we truly want to put America first. Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told we were not?
All right, here we go. Okay, so in the previous video, talked about the Department of Justice. That was pretty treasonous. The military, treasonous. So is everything against the American people? Okay, I don't get it. You know, we've talked about Dwight D. Eisenhower and the military-industrial complex. Okay, so they've been building on this for 60 or 70 years, folks. Donald Trump is trying to fix it, but I don't know that he's going to have enough time. I hope his successor will move along the same lines and try to clean up the crap and fraud and corruption in the government. Let me click on the Rumble link and show you that this video does come from Morse TV. This is the video that I shared with you. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay. I hope the audio is getting a little bit better. Let me back here and slide down to Wendy Bell. We got great people in the chat. Viper Senior, Deb Brandt, and everybody else, Glow, Sheeby, and Susie Pohl and Debbie BS. Anybody else want to jump in there? Don't be bashful. Okay, Wendy Bell, nothing but the truth. Okay, we've been getting a lot of truth here, and it's not good news, but at least it's the truth. Let's see what's going on with Wendy.
This mRNA flu vaccine, which totally has me baffled. I have absolutely no idea why the FDA would approve something like this. But we're going to talk about it. But before I get to that, it looks like Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche is going to become confirmed and going to be confirmed here imminently. There was a very interesting and important Senate floor speech that I think you should find. I would play all 6 minutes of it for you, but it really didn't fit into the show today. I implore you to go find it. It's from Bill Cassidy, the senator from Louisiana, the senator who voted with 9 other Republicans to impeach Donald Trump for inciting insurrection on January 6th. I wonder how he wishes he might change that vote today, knowing what we know now. Nevertheless, not a friend of this president. But he got on the floor of the Senate and he expressed his vote. I might not like the president, but this isn't a vote for the president. This is the vote for one man, Todd Blanche, to be the Attorney General. I've talked to a bunch of people, Bill Barr, many others. I've gotten the good, I've gotten the bad. I've spoken with Mr. Blanche multiple times. He's admitted where he's made some mistakes. I am, and then he starts to literally cry. Not like, but like, the man cry, where you stop and you're like, oh, fudge. Here it comes. He says, I know I'm going to get dragged for this vote. What else is new? But I believe this is a good man who's going to do a good job. And by golly, that is what my job is to do here in the Senate. I was thinking this, so much of what we're going through right now, the deep state started, because it's not just Democrats. Sure, it was Democrats in the Oval Office with Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton and Clapper and Comey and blah, 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 all those people, Brennan. Sure, it was the deep state that concocted the Russia thing. There's a lot of blame to go around for what's going on in this country. They started it. This president has the opportunity to stop it and fix it. And that means not using his Department of Justice as a weapon, but rather as what it should be: a fact finder, a truth seeker, a judgment deliverer, and a justice seeker. That's it. So Todd Blanche is going to be confirmed. It was one of those, it was that Susan Collins, Brett Kavanaugh thoughtful moment. Now, hers was 45 minutes long when she said, I'm going to vote for Brett Kavanaugh. This was 6. But he was clearly moved by, Bill Cassidy was, by what was going to happen to him and how people were going to assail him for voting in favor of President Trump's pick to be Attorney General. That ought not be what this is in this country. Is this that turning point? Is this that flexion? Is this that moment where we can just knock it the heck off and remember what we're here to do? The media are here to be truth finders, to be question askers, to be the curious among us who see things and say, that doesn't seem right. I ought to investigate and then go dig. Not with preconceived notions, not to push an agenda, not to be propagandists, but to educate and to blow the whistle on things that we need to know about. And one of the things that we need to know about, ladies and gentlemen, is this new freaking flu shot, mRNA. Who's all ready to sign up for mRNA? I didn't get enough last time. Let me get more. Honey, get your purse. We're going to the clinic. No. Why would the FDA support this thing? Because I want to read this. Dr. McCullough, who has been nothing, Peter McCullough, has been nothing but a truth seeker, a truth finder, and a truth seller. Breaking, FDA approves Moderna's mRNA influenza vaccine, despite, you guys ready for this? Remember the whole adverse effects, side effects, right? 75.3% rate of adverse reactions. Wow, where do I sign up? Can't wait to get it. Come on, kids. Afterwards, we'll go to McDonald's. No. 75.3 adverse reaction rate. And it has a severe systemic reaction rate, nearly 4 times higher, not of a placebo, which is what you're supposed to do, saline placebos. They tested this new fangled Moderna mRNA gene scrambler against the current flu vaccine, which in and of itself is a shot in the dark, right? I mean, that's really what it is. The flu season is pin the tail on the donkey. You don't know where it is, but we're going to try to roll the dice, and to our best knowledge, we're going to try to give you a vaccine for this particular variant, which changes all the time, right? 75.3%, ladies and gentlemen. Let's check the side effects. Let's see. I mean, is it bad side effects? Yeah, it's bad side effects. 3 in 4 adults ages 65 and older had a reaction. And reactions that stopped the day, literally that put you in bed and put you down for the count because you felt like Garbaggio, 4 times greater with this new Moderna shot, right? So I'm good than the flu shot that's already in existence. 4 times. Deaths of like unspecified cause. This is the one that'll kick you in the face. This is something they don't want you to know. This new mRNA flu shot by Moderna and the existing flu shot that, again, was not tested against a saline placebo, which it should have been, because that would show you have a 30 times greater risk of dying in either of the vaccine groups, President vaccine for flu and this new mRNA one. You have a 30 times greater chance of dying by getting the vaccine than you do by just rolling the dice and being like, well, I'm gonna trust my immune system because it's pretty amazing. When compared to the current flu shot, 2.6 times more people who took the mRNA Fluvia shot died. Did we learn nothing? See, this is that cycle that repeats itself. There are people out there who will be like, yeah, let's go get it right away. Absolutely. These are also people who've gotten 9 booster shots. Okay? You do you. But, I have faith in your body. I have faith in our ability to see through this. Moderna apparently didn't make enough billionaires last time. We got to keep the gravy train going because, ladies and gentlemen, there is no money in you being well. And then this story dropped that I wanted to bring up to you. Did you guys hear this? Of course, now as I'm trying to pull it up, I can't. There was a straw poll. Very interesting straw poll. Western Conservative Summit 2028 straw poll. Ready? Secretary of State Marco Rubio came out on top in this past weekend's nonpartisan straw poll at the Western Conservative Summit, outpacing a packed field of would-be 2028 presidential hopefuls. Hosted by the Centennial Institute, Colorado Christian University's public policy think tank, the summit ranks among the largest annual gatherings of conservatives in the Western United States, with this year's summit drawing over 500 attendees under a specific theme. With a list of 27 potential 2028 candidates across the political spectrum, attendees were asked to select every candidate they approve of for the 2028 presidential race. Only 3 candidates got 30% or more. Rubio topped that particular question with 85%. J.D. Vance, vice president, had 71%. Ron DeSantis, 55%. Nobody else even close, ladies and gentlemen. But there was a second question that narrowed things a little bit even further. And I'm going to tell you what it was. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, we're going to talk about the Senate downloading Fauci's government-issued cell phone when he was, the COVID czar. Oh, I can't wait. What's going to be on it? And however will we cross-reference it against his diary? Buckle up. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
Holy smokes. Okay. All right. Now the pharma companies, well, I don't mean now, but pharma companies have always been out for their own pockets and not necessarily the benefits to the patient. Okay, that's one of the reasons why I selected an early retirement from the pharmaceutical company that I worked for, because their motives, their motivation was not for the benefit of the patient. It was for how much money or how much products they could sell. Okay?
Ho, 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 it's magic. You know.
So this straw poll, which is super interesting. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell Radio Network, Centennial Institute. This is a list of 27 potential 2028 candidates. 500 people show up to this symposium. And they said, you know, hey, you got 28 people here, 28 people. Fill out who you can see, right? Being the nominee for the Republicans for 2028 for president. So you got three who max out the list, and then really nobody close. You've got 85% saying Rubio. He tops out. Vice President Vance, he gets 71% of the vote. Ron DeSantis gets 55%. Nobody else in the Republican field cleared 30%. Tech billionaire, ex-owner Elon Musk got 5%, and Tucker Carlson, who's teasing the launch of the third party, whatever, is got 3%, what have you. A second question narrowed things further, though, asking attendees to pick their top choice from the same slate of candidates. Marco Rubio dominating with 57% support over runner-up J.D. Vance, who received 21%. What? Okay, so that's interesting. That's interesting. We're just watching this. All right, let's move on to this because I got to get this New York Times story for you. Apparently, the Senate has gotten their hands on Tony Fauci's HHS government-issued cell phone that he used when he was destroying everybody's life during COVID. And they're in the process now of downloading the data. Josh Hawley was on with Jesse Waters last night. He's like, look, this is going to be interesting because not only can we then cross-reference this with his diary entrance, that thank God for RFK Jr., if he hadn't dumped 11 million documents as requested by Rand Paul and Ron Johnson, we wouldn't have any of this stuff. But we also find how behind the scenes, Anthony Fauci was on government time trying to get his staffers, his cohorts to nominate him for awards. Listen.
The Senate has his phone. This is the phone that he used for years, we believe, as the director of the NIAID, which is the position he held during COVID. I understand we're in the process of downloading its contents right now. I can't wait to see what's on it, Jesse. I mean, we learned so much from that last trove of documents. We learned that he got all of those cash prizes, $1 million for himself during COVID. That was illegal, by the way. I can't wait to see what we're going to find out from this phone.
And the Florida AG is looking into some of these awards. He was grabbing cash awards while he was telling Florida to shut down and do this and that. And he knew these rules were BS.
Yeah, you know, here's the thing. The law prohibits a federal employee from soliciting cash prizes. It says you can't go use your employees to solicit cash prizes. You can't use your office or email. Fauci was doing all of it. Was he even focused on COVID during COVID? No way. He was focused on himself. He was focused on getting rich. And Jesse, he got over $1 million in cash prizes in the span of 2 years. He's the highest paid federal employee ever. His pension is worth $500,000 a year. Net worth right now north of $12 million. It's a total scam.
And the frying pan to the face moment comes when you imagine all of the small businesses that closed, all of the restaurants, all of the corner stores, all of the neighborhood markets, all of the gyms and the beauty salons, the barbers that went under because they weren't allowed to open. They weren't allowed to function. They weren't allowed to survive. Meanwhile, he's in the background. Fauci is wheeling and dealing to enrich himself. I mean, you cannot get something that's more black or white than this. Now, I think it's interesting, of course, that they're saying Rand Paul has some kind of a vendetta. Ron Johnson wants to see him, see, we deserve answers. Yep. America deserves answers. What they got was contempt. That's exactly what Ron Johnson said yesterday when asked by Laura Ingraham. He says, we have a lot more than just his phone, thanks to Bobby Kennedy. Here's Ron Johnson, senator from Wisconsin.
If he's deleted texts. Will you find those?
We'll have to do a forensic analysis. Okay. I can't tell you what we're going to find, but we're going to scour that phone for any piece of evidence. Plus, we got 11 million pages from HHS because of Bobby Kennedy's commitment to radical transparency. We've gotten other documents. And so what you need for all these investigations, you know that you need a bunch of documents. You compare it to testimony. I've invited him to come in for a transcribed interview, which he refused. I will subpoena him for that transcribed interview.
I will subpoena him for that transcribed interview. And it was super interesting when the Senate committee voted yesterday to hold Fauci in contempt and to send that to the DOJ. I forget who the ranking member is, so the Democrat, the highest authority on the panel.
It's Peters.
He said in accusation of Rand Paul and Ron Johnson that this is something that they're just springing on the panel, that this is just thrown together very haphazard. And Ron Johnson very calmly said to the ranking member, Gary Peters, "How dare you, sir? I've been holding hearings for 6 years. I've shared with you and every Democrat on this committee the findings that we're hearing from people who've been injured. We've held hearings. You never showed up. You didn't click the links. You didn't open the folders. You did not care. How dare you? Tell me what my motivation is. I want the truth. I want the whole truth. I want nothing but the truth. Senator." That is where we are today, ladies and gentlemen. Things heating up for the good doctor, however, the biggest government scandal in U.S. history that the media still refuses to report on, right? We're going to hear more from Ron Johnson about Fauci and pharma's callous disregard for our lives and our liberty. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
Alrighty, let me click on this Rumble link here and show you that this video does come from Wendy Bell Radio. This is the video I shared with you. I've given her a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay, so she says this is the biggest scandal. Okay, we got the scandal in with Fauci and Big Pharma and these gain-of-function laboratories creating viruses, bioweapons. Oh, well, we have to create that so we can find a vaccine for it. Well, if you didn't frickin' create it, you wouldn't need a vaccine, now would you? Man, that pisses me off every time I think about that. And then you got the military working with China. And then you got the Justice Department trying to disrupt the presidency. Amazing, isn't it? What the hell's going on? Well, let's go ahead and let me jump back here. But anyway, I've given Wendy a thumbs up, and I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay, now, we have a lot of chats tonight, folks. Just FYI. I've already copied in part of them, and this is my second copy here. And the reason I did that is because I'm only allowed 2,000 characters. Yep, there we go. Okay, let me go ahead and make that permanent. So we've got this set of chats, and we've got this set of chats. So you guys are definitely chatting it up, and I greatly appreciate that. I really, really do. Thank you so very much. But let me remind you, folks, that these videos that I've shared with you here are videos that come directly from the producer. I've got the links to the producer's channel in the description box, as well as the links to the videos themselves here in the description box. So if you want to go check out more information from these people, by all means, please do so. These videos that I've shared with you are videos that I've posted on Murtech.com. Right here's the video from ACLJ, Sekulow, that I shared with you. Here's the Dan Bongino video that I shared with you. Right down here is the Matt Morris video that I shared with you. This is all in alphabetical order by the producer. Down here is Wendy Bell. No nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth. This is your one-stop shop for information that you're not going to get on the mainstream media, because all they're feeding you, as you well know, is lies and propaganda. Now, as I said, I've got over 40 videos here. The links in the description box as well to Murtech.com. I'd like to share all of it with you, but unfortunately, I just don't have the time to do so. But that's why I put together Murtech's Daily News Wrap-Up. It says I have 21 videos in here for you to watch. About 10 or 11 hours. We're going to start off with Wendy Bell where we left off in the podcast. Same thing with Dan Bongino. And we're going to move to We the People News, X22 Report, On the Fringe, Sean Spicer, AP for Liberty, Steve Dace. A ton of great information here, folks. But as of right now, go ahead and take a break. Grab a cup of coffee and a donut, or a sandwich and a soft drink, or maybe a beer, maybe some nice wine and cheese. And meet me back here in about 15 minutes or so, 15 or 20 minutes, so I can get this set up in Rumble Studio. Hopefully we won't have an audio problem with my daily news wrap-up. Before I sign off, I do want to share some information from Rumble Premium. As you know, the first day of the month, I do a video for Rumble Premium right on the first day of my daily news wrap-up, and get that out of the way, and I don't do it anymore. But let's hear a little information from Rumble Premium and see what they have to say. Okay, see why it's so important to them.
This sponsorship is from Rumble, one that is incredibly important to the survival of the company. When Rumble first started in 2013, they built the platform for the small creator. They didn't censor or have biases. They were fair and treated all creators equally. No one thought platforms would censor political conversation or censor opinions on COVID. But they did. Facebook admitted they fell to pressure from the Biden and Harris administration. Rumble did not. They held the line. They are attacked daily for giving us a voice to talk to you. They are attacked in corporate media. They are attacked by governments like France. They are attacked from brand advertisers who refuse to work with them. Corporate America is fighting to remove speech. Rumble is fighting to keep it. Rumble won't survive with brand advertisers. They don't get much of it. Watching our show on Rumble is the most they can ask from you. But if you really believe in this fight, and if you have the means, one major way you can help Rumble survive is by joining Rumble Premium. Join the community that believes in the First Amendment and believes in our human right to free speech. Rumble is offering $10 off with the promo code STUDIO when you purchase an annual subscription. Go to rumble.com/premium and use promo code STUDIO. Like I said, if you have the means and believe in the cause, now is the time to join Rumble Premium. If you don't have the means, we are just happy if you watch us on Rumble.
All right, there you have it, folks. Okay, with that being said, again, go ahead and take a break. We'll be back here in about 15 or 20 minutes. And I do want to thank you so very much for joining me this evening. I greatly appreciate that. Thank you for the chats. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for watching and sharing this information out. Hopefully, I'll get to see you again later in just a few minutes. Thank you again, and may God bless.